Chapter 5, My Homolka. Who or what created the burning desire deep within this Irish lassie to play the violin, I do not know. Not until I was 12 did my parents think I was serious and put a violin into my eager hands. At school, I had my first lesson on playing the violin. I soaked up everything I saw and heard. I loved to practice. It was so satisfying to feel the violin under my chin, a very real part of me. Soon I began playing in the school orchestra, second violin, of course. Perhaps it was 2 years, I don't remember exactly, when the orchestra leader told my parents that I should go to Orly C, a member of the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra and a teacher of violin. He agreed to take me as a pupil. Looking back, I wonder how my parents paid for the lessons. They were the highlight of every week. I advanced rapidly because I loved my violin and thrived on the hard work and many hours of practicing. Every spring, Orly C presented his pupils in a recital. For my first appearance, I was frightened and nervous. The piece I was to play was Beethoven's Minuet. I knew every note, so I was ready. My mother made me a pretty organdy dress to wear. Then my turn came to go center stage after Mr. C had announced, "Now Reva Patrick will play a minuet by Beethoven." I took center stage. Mrs. C was at the piano to accompany me. I was so nervous the bow bounced on the strings, and halfway through the number I could not go on. Chagrined and utterly ashamed of myself, I turned to Mr. C with tears in my eyes. The maestro smiled warmly and, coming over to me, patted me on the back and said, "It's all right, Reva. Let's just start all over again." I did. The nerves quieted, and I played the minuet quite well. Mr. and Mrs. C had no children, and it was my indescribable good fortune that they took me under their wings. As I became more skilled, Mr. C would ask me to join them for a musical soiree, as they called it. These were evenings of music by members of the string section from the San Francisco Symphony, Orly C's buddies, so to speak. On these evenings, he drew me into conversation with the violinist and cellist, and then he would ask me to play for them. Frightened at first, but over the years I became quite comfortable performing for the string professionals. I remember the excitement I felt when one evening, because a violinist in a quartet was missing, Orly C said, "Reva, sit in the second violinist chair, you'll be just fine." For the first time, though not the last, I sat in with professional strings and played. I was in heaven. There may have been refreshments served at these soirees, but I don't remember any, just the thrill of the music. Mr. C saw to it that I was engaged quite frequently to play a group of solos for an organization or a special occasion. For a few important appearances, I was allowed to play Mr. C's violin, an instrument with a luscious overtone. In the elite Ibel Club in Oakland, before I performed, I was told that once I had worked for them, played, I could never become a member. That was all right, for that organization was known as a group of snooty women. Once when I was asked to play at a sorority tea, I encountered a new experience. I played, but no one listened. Looking back on the event, I'm ashamed for what I did. I played from my heart for people to hear. So on this day, after maybe a half hour, I packed up my violin and went home. No sorority ever asked me to play for them again. I suppose you might say that I was blackballed. Having majored in music at UC with a fine grade point average, in March of my 5th year, I was eager for a position teaching music. The university placement secretary would call promising future teachers for an interview in her office with a high school principal seeking a new faculty member for his school. No women principals in those days. Many times I have recounted the story of my interview with the principal of Mill Valley High School for a position I wanted but did not get, even though my credentials were excellent. This was a made-in-heaven job for me, teaching strings all day and automatically becoming a member of the prestigious Mill Valley String Quartet. When I learned I did not get that job, I quickly signed a contract to teach in Dunsmuir, and thus began the most important stage, or should I say stages, of my life. During the early 20th century and until World War II broke out, women teachers were not allowed to conduct bands or orchestras, only choirs. That being the case, I did not teach music in the school, but I was in demand in the community as a soloist and violin teacher, for I was the only skilled violinist in the area. In the years following my marriage, 1929 to 1942, and beyond rearing my children, I taught violin privately in my home to several high school girls and one boy whose mother studied the cello with me. In the third spring after that teaching, I presented a recital featuring all my violinists. When my violin needed to be voiced, I always took my instrument to Louis Prince in San Francisco. On one occasion, after greeting me, he shocked me by saying, "I have a Stradivarius out of the safe. Go play it while I work on the Homolka." "Oh, no, I can't. A Stradivarius." "Don't be foolish. You know violins. Go on in the other room and let the Strad talk to you." I did. For perhaps a half hour, hold this world-famous violin in my hands. My involvement in community activities, such as a choral director for the Dunsmuir Community Theater, drew me further and further away from my beloved little Homolka. Then slowly arthritis in my wrists and fingers prevented me from playing my precious violin as well as it deserved to be played. So I put it down with sadness, but with great appreciation for the many years of enjoyment and fulfillment it had given me. A violin must be played to keep in voice just as a human voice must be used. While none of my children were interested in learning the violin, I had hope that one of my grandchildren might. My grandson, Sean, took up the violin in elementary school. Seeing his enthusiasm and skills develop, I decided to put my Homolka in his hands. As it turned out, there were too many other things of greater interest in his life, so he decided against private lessons, but remained content to play violin in his school orchestra. For me, it remains a disappointment that my violin is no longer singing with me or Sean or anyone else. 2 months into my 102nd year, something close to my heart, which I thought had been lost, was found. When I moved from my home on Beverly Way, all my children and some neighbors made the move for me. In the basement were many boxes accumulated over the 57 years. Many items were tossed out to be taken to the dump. Alice Jane noticed one box which she opened, took it home to Livermore, and stored it in her garage for 19 years. On September 2nd, 2005, we were talking about a program featuring Fritz Kreisler's compositions. Alice Jane brought out the box and put it beside her on the sofa and took out sheets of music which she placed on my lap. One quick look at the music, I knew these were what I had practiced and performed 80 or more years ago. Here were the compositions of that world-famous violinist, my idol. Tears welled as I lovingly patted the music, remembering. I thumbed through the file. My favorites were all there. I and my music once more together, a treasure for some eager young artist. Happy at peace, I held the music close to me. This triggered many fond memories for me, but in a split second my mind sorted through them and I stood on the stage, fiddle at chin, bow raised, and in that moment before the music, I saw the look of anticipation in the faces of the audience, and as the bow began its downward movement, I felt both fear and confidence. In a beautiful and lush rhythm, the shuttle moves and is trapped by the echo of that melody, back and forth, under and over, under. The beat continues. Subtle at times and more forceful at other times as the loom begins to capture and reflect the music, the violin, my love for it. Back and forth, something deep and satisfying starts to appear as all those lilting threads come together over, under, over.